What's more valuable, $500,000 in cash or a meal seasoned with the wisdom of a luminary? This is the tantalizing question that sparked the birth of a groundbreaking show, Lunch with a Luminary.
Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Lunch with a Luminary. Now, our guest today is Sadia Yansaneh, also known as Simply Tone. She's the founder and owner of Simply Tone Fitness. As a celebrity trainer, Sadia is committed to transforming the minds and the bodies of her clients. She brings a unique perspective and passion to the entire Atlanta community and beyond. She is global, and the fitness world at large. You've actually seen her on Real Housewives of Atlanta, where working with elite athletes like world record holders Sanya Richards-Ross, and collaborating with the Atlanta Falcons, and working with me. With 7 years of entrepreneurial experience, Sadia not only coaches her clients physically, but she also empowers them to grow professionally and personally. As a motivational speaker, she shares her powerful story and experience to inspire others to reach their full potential, reminding us all that with full effort and energy, anything is within reach. So please join me in welcoming the incredible Simply Tone to the show as we have lunch.
Hi. Oh my gosh, who is cutting onions? Okay, that was so sweet. Do it again.
So you notice I'm having empanadas. I love the empanadas from this place. Mm-hmm. And then what did you order?
So I'm having shrimp tempura, and I'm having, I think this is some sort of like dumpling. So, I was feeling like in my sushi era.
And since it's all about fitness, we just decided to get a salad with my fried empanada, but Yes. So first of all, we know each other, but it's just exciting to be able to sit and break bread and focus on the amazing things that you've just done as a professional. Now, you're unique because you've been in business for 7 years, but you've always been an entrepreneur, right? You've been an entrepreneur since college. So you never had the desire to get a job?
I definitely did.
She's like, last week, I was thinking
I was on there, no. So I've been full-time 7 years, my business altogether 9 years.
Nice.
And so my 10-year mark is coming up. And yes, I started my business in college. It was one of the smartest things I could have done because I was marketing to a hub of people. These same hub of people could like grow with me. And even though, it was young college students who didn't have money, it was still marketing to a community that could support me and grow with me on this journey. So
you had a captive audience, basically, of consumers, and they may not have had earned income, but they were able to kind of support your business through like their parents' money, right?
Yes, or school money.
There you go.
And it was definitely a volumes game. So it's like the more people I could get, the more money I could earn, and that just ended up being a ripple effect for referrals. And then I started my online. So I actually started in person before I started online.
So what were you selling in college initially?
Yes, for $100, you could work out with me 5 days a week.
$100?
$100. Okay, the price, yesterday's price is not today's price. Okay, so that does not apply. That was back in 2016, and or really 2015. And so my goal in college was to always get 30 clients. And so I can make an extra $3,000. And I was already on track scholarship. I also was working at the school gym, so I was hustling.
You had multiple revenue streams.
Okay, I gotta get this coin. Okay, I was buying bundles at the time. Okay, sneakers, all young college stuff.
How much did you save? No, I'm
okay, $0. Okay, we need to run them specials back.
So that's great. So you said you went from doing that service space to going online?
Yes. Okay. And so yes, the online transition was also a very pivotal part of my journey. I understood that I could only reach so many people and I needed to reach more people. So I was actually off social media for some time before I showed up as Simply Tone. And that was a huge transformative time for me because I was going from college athlete to now business owner.
Okay.
And even though, they both are health related, they're both physical, when you create an identity in one space, sometimes people just, only see you as that. So it's you gotta kind of pull away to then kind of reinvent yourself.
So when you came upon, because I'm sure there are a lot of younger people listening to you and really motivated by this, but when you got to the point where you were about to graduate, were you at an impasse making a decision as to whether you were going to continue entrepreneurship or do kind of probably what your cohort was doing and get a job?
Yeah. So entrepreneurship is so it's such a buzzword now, right? But back then it was you were going against the grain. Like, you know, like everyone teaches you to like take the traditional route. You go to college, you then get a corporate job. So I definitely backpedaled. Like, I had already been an entrepreneur for a year and a half, but when it was time to graduate, all the noise and like, you're not gonna have health benefits, you know, like you're not gonna have insurance, you know, like what are you gonna do? So I applied for a job, you know, and I was like banking on being a health coach for an insurance company.
Okay.
And, you know, I would like make meal plans and programs. And during the interview, like I knocked it out the park, but they said, you were too overqualified for this position and you're not going to get a raise for another 2 years. So they encouraged me to do what I was doing.
Wow.
And then I fell into depression because I said, I need a check.
Right.
Yeah, so that lesson was really big because I was so stuck on trying to make, at the time, it was like $55,000 in a year. And then when I started my business straight out of college, I made $50,000 my first 3 months.
Your first 3 months, 50K out of
50K.
college. So they were right. You were overexperienced and overqualified.
Man, but sometimes, you know, we all have limiting beliefs and,
Right.
you know, imposter syndrome. So it's like, even though I had already been doing it, I had already been making $3K a month in college. That's part-time. Just the thought of just free falling was just so scary. And when your back is against the wall, you got to do it.
Do what you have to do. So now you were in college on scholarship, correct?
I was.
Okay, what kind of scholarship did you have?
I had a track scholarship, so track really saved my life. Yeah, I went through a lot growing up and I needed an outlet, so I did start athleticism. And through that journey, my number one goal was to get school paid for because academically it wasn't gonna happen. So it's like, I had to bank on these legs, okay? And that was a difficult journey, but I ended up landing a scholarship. It was full ride. On top of that, I had financial aid. So honey, in college, I was banking.
So you had some coins in
little
college.
money, you know what I'm
Everybody
saying?
else was eating ramen noodles and you were
Honey,
having...
who was eating lobster, okay? Okay, crab legs.
But you didn't always, like, things weren't always flowing for you. I think what differentiates you as a professional, as an entrepreneur, is that you have built the muscle to be able to overcome hardship.
Man.
Right?
Yes, for sure. It's not a path that I chose, okay? I guess God decided to put me on the Stronger Soldiers list, okay? Frontline. Yeah, my perspective has changed now that I'm older and I can see how, you know, all of that was unraveling. But at the time, I used to see these hardships as a crutch, you know, like something that was holding me back. Like I would look at my peers and say, you know, they have all these resources. They don't have to go through hardship. They have stable houses. And I just have to continue to go through these, you know, issues and traumas. And now my perspective is understanding that those traumas is actually what birthed, you know, my gift, which is turning my pain into power, being able to motivate and inspire other people. So when people are in the gym and they're exhausted and they feel like, oh my gosh, I can't do it, I'm like, baby, okay, like you can, like, you know, just training their minds. When people have confidence issues and they're struggling with believing in themselves and allowing life to take over, I can like walk them through that because I've been through it. I'm a walking testimony,
So what's interesting is that we connected because of our connection to foster care and adoption. I was a licensed foster parent, an adoptive parent, and you were in the foster care system. And you've been very, very transparent online about your journey and your experience. And one of the things that I would say to you is, you know, because like you said, there's a lot of trauma associated with you know, having to struggle as a child, even if as an infant, right?
Yes.
Those synapses don't connect if you don't get the nurturing that you're looking for. So one of the things that I would ask you, and I would love for you to share that with the audience, is what do you think it is that makes the difference between the child in foster care who goes through struggles and then, you know, goes on to do wonderful things like you're doing versus the child in foster care or adoption who goes through struggles and takes an alternate route? What is that aha moment or intervention that you think makes the difference between success and like continued failures?
Ooh, wow, that is such a loaded question. Thank you, that was really good.
I could chew while you think about it.
Yes, okay, no, that was good. There was a time, it's crazy how things happen, but the reason I got separated from my family was because we got evicted from our apartment. And that also was the day right before the graduation test in high school. So it's like, when it rains, it pours. It's like, I'm going through these things at home and also now having to show up in school to even get out of high school. And so what was a pivotal turning point in, me being a product of my environment is knowing that the first step is just knowing that like I only have two directions. It's just like, okay, like I can be a product of my environment, or I can like just shoot my shot and, aim for the stars and then see where I land. So I didn't feel like I had many options. It was like, okay, these are the two directions. But yeah, there was a time I was suicidal and I just wanted to end it all. And I just felt like, I didn't have the support I needed. I didn't have the love I needed. And the athleticism is what kind of kept me going, just having a goal in mind, having a vision. And I think for sure, I remember when it happened was my junior year of high school. I was depressed the entire year. I cried every single day. And
who did you go to?
No one. At the time, for a long time, it was no one. And then I did eventually step into therapy. Okay. So I have been in therapy for 15 years, so that shed light on it. But it was understanding that the past is the past based on your perspective. And the future is everything that you do now in the present. So it's like being able to frame that at a young age was just saying, okay, like if I want my circumstances to change, I have to do stuff now. In regards to like my family and my past, it's not anything that I can control. And
Did you come to that realization in the 12th grade, or is that as a result of the work that you've done over the years?
So that's definitely as the result that I've done over the years, but it's just that little bitty light, and then all you need is a little light, because if you just keep, tunnel vision, right? Like if you keep walking towards that light, the light will get brighter and brighter and brighter, and then, you'll find the silver lining in it. But it was that little light just saying, hey, like, you were meant for more. Like we all feel like we have a purpose and, like we're meant to fulfill it. So I had that nudge inside, like, you're meant for more. Like this isn't it, and just leaning into that.
What did I tell you? I don't know if you remember the first time I met you.
You told me that my steps are ordered.
Yep.
Yes.
And I knew nothing about this story. I didn't know anything about this background, but it's just something that you emanate, in your conversation and your spirit and all of that. So I firmly believe that and I was like, we are not crying today, just for the record. Yeah. There's like no run-ins happening. But I firmly believe that whether it was, through your foster care and adoption, through your college experience, getting your scholarship, going into entrepreneurship, when you are doing something where your steps are ordered, things will fall into place without you putting a lot of effort into it. It will literally, like dominoes, begin to fall into place. And that's how you know that you are on the right path and that you are basically walking into your ministry.
Man. Yes, thank you. Yeah. That is so received. And yeah, it's like on the journey, because you don't see the bigger picture of it all, like I get it now, right? Like, whoa, thank you God for the struggle, okay? Because I'm definitely seeing the fruit of that difficulty. But yeah, during those times, it's, you can fall into the victim mindset, like, why me? Or like, I don't understand. Like, why would you give me this desire that, I'm meant for greatness, but my circumstances don't look like it, And it's just, his plan is so strategic, like in this journey of entrepreneurship and pivoting in all different directions, whether it's corporate, whether it's reinventing yourself, you have to believe in something bigger than yourself. Like it just can't just be your own strength.
So you are a major influencer in the social media space. You started 7 years ago. What drove you to even like get into social media? Because that was kind of before people were packaging like become an influencer in a box kind of thing. So what drove you to that?
That's a good one. I would say one of my natural gifts is my intuition, and I can kind of forecast. Like I can just kind of see what's gonna happen next, and I just love to be ahead of that curve. So at the time, little things were birthed, like YouTube, like Facebook, like.
So you didn't go back to MySpace. That's how I know it was 7 years.
I was on the Zanga and the tags, but I could just, it was an instinct, like, just maybe it just.
You just felt directed.
Yes, like a heightened awareness of like, hey, there's an opportunity to make money here, And I will say that I'm naturally an entrepreneur, like, just knowing how to sell, knowing how to market. And so at the time I had already positioned myself, so knowing how to edit videos. Like this is all before social media really took off. So by the time the platforms were ready, like I knew everything to do because I had already been nurturing those muscles. So in high school, I was editing.
So something that is consistent across the luminaries that I interview is, and I joke about it, that are you a prophet? Is that prophetic kind of being able to see beyond what the average person can see with their naked eye? So that is 100%, on the mark there. But how did you hone your skills without being an apprentice or getting a job? So you came right out of college, you were doing it in college. How did you keep yourself on the pulse of the fitness industry without a job?
Oh, wow, that's a really good question. So the first thing I did was I did major in multimedia. So they started to try to come up with curriculum that taught that. One of my gifts is being able to imitate things. So I can see a commercial, I can see how something was put together and come up with my own way of doing it. So I do believe that you don't have to reinvent the blueprint, right? Like before social media, there was television, right? So as a young child, I'm like, oh, I want to get on TV. And so it's like, as times and technology changes, you start realizing that there's new channels to do that. So you can be your own celebrity without even having to be on TV because you control the narrative.
But the good thing is that you have been on TV.
Right.
So a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, they'll say, if I only had, if I was only on a major network or I had a major celebrity endorse my product or service, then I would be able to do X, Y, and Z. But that's not easy to do, right? You can't just, pick up your Rolodex or pick up the phone and do that. How did you make that transition to being on a global, if not, national stage?
Wow, that's good. So prior to working with notable clients and celebrity clients, I worked with, day-to-day clients, corporate clients.
I fall into the day-to-day category.
Yes, okay,
I received that.
This is day-to-day? Oh my gosh, wow. These day-to-day people are winning, okay? iHeart is day-to-day, come on. I love it, okay? This is light work. So yes, for about 4 years, I was working with, my regular day-to-day clients. And then honestly, what got me into notable clients is seeing the effect that it had on audience members, right? So the very first notable client that I worked with was Slim Jimmy, and he's a part of Ray Sherman, they're Mike Will Made It's group. The moment I posted a photo with him back in 2018 and we had just did a session, that post got so much engagement. So just seeing what people feel connected to, because it's one thing where I'm training someone, that is down the street versus someone that people look up to.
Right.
It's almost like it influences them to not be more invested just in the artist, but maybe their own journeys. Okay, wow, this person's doing this, so let me now focus on my journey. So from there, I just started, just scaling that. And, business is a dance and shaking the right hands and having the right conversation. So it started with me moving my business from Decatur, Georgia to then Buckhead, right? So in Buckhead, you're gonna be in a space.
So you were deliberate around where you were physically located as well.
Because it matters. Success is proximity. So it's sometimes about being at the right place at the right time. And that's a lot of the journey. So it went from Slim Jimmy, it went from other local Atlanta artists. And I actually ended up DMing Ari Lennox one day. I was like, you know what? It looks like she's here in Atlanta. I wasn't even that familiar with her music. So she is an R&B singer. And I kept being intentional about reaching out. So I reached out about 5 times and she responded. And then from there, that's what took it to a whole nother level.
So persistence, consistency, and then also being courageous, because so many people that maybe want to do that outreach or want to make that connection say, they sort of, what they do is they convince themselves, they talk to themselves before doing it. So they convince themselves that it's not going to work before they take the risk and do it. So they say, okay, I want to reach out to that celebrity, but they're not going to respond. So they have a conversation with themselves. I always say, don't have a conversation with yourself, do it and let it roll the way it's going to roll.
Right, because the conversation you having in your head to yourself, you could be having in DM to yourself, right? They're not reading it anyways, right? So what keeps me consistent in that journey in pitching myself is knowing that the answer is already no, right? Like if you don't ask them, it's no, and if you do ask them, it's potentially no. So it's the only other option is
go
yes.
up from there.
You get what I'm saying? So it's you're already at the bottom. So it's them even considering it is already a win because the answer was already no.
How many times would you have DM'd her? Because you stopped at 5 before she responded. But I'm thinking at number 4, it's listen.
Yeah.
So when would you have stopped?
I wouldn't have. Like, you know, one thing I've learned about notable clients is if you treat yourself as equal and you understand that everybody is human and everyone has the same problems and stuff, they're just as eager to work with you as well because you are commanding presence in that space. So it's like, even though they have more accolades and more followers and more fans, we're all the same because we have unique gifts.
That is such a great, nugget of wisdom to share, because the success of a business's sales and marketing really lies in their own self-talk. And so if they basically engage themselves in a way that doesn't block themselves before they even hear from the market, you have a 100% chance of being more successful, right? So I think that makes complete sense. So when you talk about how you've expanded and evolved, like you talked about keeping up on the trends of your business, what are some of the lessons that you've learned in pivoting?
Ooh, so many. So one of the first ones I've learned is when you have that feeling that it's time to pivot, just do it. I think that, in my experience, I spent so much time on that tug and pull, like I know I'm supposed to do this, but I'm struggling with the old part of me. And so it's like, I'm doing that dance when it's like, just do it, because over time, you'll learn the ropes, so I spent too much time in the gray when I just needed to go ahead and go to the other side.
So what do you do when your audience is not as agile as you are? So you and I have had this conversation, and you do a great job of pivoting and identifying new markets and shifting. So you've got your career as a fitness enthusiast, as a personal trainer, being in the industry, and then of course pivoting to the entertainment industry with that. And then you've also very recently done a lot with corporate clients, right? And working with individuals. How has your audience and have your followers responded to that pivot that you've made?
Wow. So there's a lot of different people, right? There's a lot of different type of followers. So most of them are great at pivoting with me because they support me. So it doesn't matter how I'm showing up. That's what sales is, like getting people to buy into you. So as long as it's presented correctly, they can like transition with you. So majority does follow with me. So if I had to give a percentage, I would say like 90%.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, but the 5% are the ones that don't have the perspective. They don't have the vision. They don't see how it's unfolding. Some of them, it's okay to have different type of followers and fans, right? Like some people are very one-dimensional and maybe more A-type, right? Like they want to only see you do this one thing, and that's what they're here for. And you have to be okay knowing that everybody can't transition with you.
So you know how Beyonce has her Sasha Fierce. Talk to us about the difference between Simply Tone and Sadia Yansaneh.
Ooh, I like that. So Simply Tone is a superwoman, okay? She is a part of the Avengers, okay? She can conquer everything. She turns her pain into power. She can make a lot of money. She is magnetic. And Sadia, is definitely more of a free spirit, definitely more flow, still energetic, calm, which is funny because it's a very opposite of Simply Tone. And the biggest difference is Simply Tone is more of like you said, Sasha Fierce, like what the world sees, like the achievements. And then Sadia is just that little girl who just literally lived in the hood and just shot for the stars and landed, so.
Do you feel like you've done a good job of balance? Because you and I have spoken about being an influencer, the pressure of that, and some influencers not being able to have a life beyond what they show the world and have genuine, authentic connections and relationships. How do you rate yourself in that area?
Right now, 10 out of 10. Like, I'm the happiest I've ever been, but it's because I've been intentional about that. It's very difficult showing up in these spaces and always having to be of service to others, because in that process, you are the sacrifice, right? So whether that's your time, whether that's your energy, just however you need to serve people, and then just not having boundaries on like what you need is what can create, that instability. So a lot of influencers or even notable people aren't even aware that they're dysregulated, right? Like they're just doing what they know and they're not ever taking the time to be still. So I make time for myself.
Tiny house?
Yeah, tiny house, okay? Literally, in the past, I used to be okay operating from an empty cup. Like it was just go, go, go. It is what it is. Now I'm only operating unless my cup is full, and then the overflows for everyone else.
I love that. That is amazing. So in the pivot and doing what you're doing, you have a lot to offer individuals and corporations. Talk to me about the value proposition of Sadia Yansaneh to a corporate client.
Yes. So Sadia Yansaneh can offer a corporate client more than just physical training, right? It's mindset training, it's lifestyle training, it's mindfulness training, and the goal is just an overall transformation. So when I'm training a client, they don't even know that they're going through an interview process of me learning who they are, right? Like, how do they respond to pain? You know, like, what is some of their self-talk? Like, you know, what are some of the stressors that they have in their life that's, you know, taking them away from investing in themselves? So just with that process, I'm able to understand, hey, this person really just needs therapy right now, right? Like, they just need to, like, talk about what they're going through. This person truly needs a physical transformation so that their confidence can increase, you know? So yeah, to the corporate client, it's more of a lifestyle shift and, you know, just finding that balance between work and home, because that's what here in America we're always trying to do. Like, okay, how can I be successful at work, make lots of money, but then also have a regular life and, you know, take time for me and vacation and love, all of that.
So forever entrepreneur, you've been doing this for as long as you can remember. What's next for you?
Ooh, what's next? So yes, I've branded myself as a business owner, and that brand was Simply Tone. But what's next is that balance that you talk about, which is me showing up as myself, which is Sadia Yansaneh. So I recently have changed all my social handles to Sadia Yansaneh, and that was like a really instrumental like point for me because so many people know me as Simply Tone. So Sadia will just help peel back those layers and just being more vulnerable. 10 years, I feel like I'm sprinting, okay? Like, this is the fun part. So I get to just do it my way. Like, I have the blueprint, and yeah, I can just continue to like recycle it however I see fit.
I feel your happiness and joy, and we've had a lot of really good times working out. You know, remember when we were pushing that thing? You actually pushed me. I can't believe you pushed me.
Listen.
All my weight, she's very strong.
Okay, if y'all want to see something, we can do it right now in the heels,
exactly.
okay?
You got my... I am so excited for your journey. I'm excited to continue watching you. And I think you are such an amazing exemplar and example for not only youth entrepreneurs, but any entrepreneur looking to take advantage of this game the way you have. So I'm excited for those corporate clients that are going to be calling your phone and reaching out. But in the meantime, in between time, we're going to dig into this food.
Yes.
Okay. I might try it since it's
go ahead.
cooked instead of...